Today we have a discussion about the one and the only SLIN pills, Enhanced Labs SLIN pills, shuttle carbs into muscles. We have the CEO of Enhanced Labs, the Canadian chemist himself, Trevor, who's going to give a scientific breakdown about SLIN pills. And then we have Seth Jordan and Johnny Ugent, long-term Enhanced affiliates, and they're going to give their personal opinion on it. So Trevor, tell us about SLIN pills.
Well, thank you for the introduction. SLIN works, and if you look at the analytics of our website, SLIN is the #1 reordered product. So it's one of those products that people try it, they use it, and they love it. SLIN is all about modulating insulin. So people think insulin's bad because of this whole ketogenic diet misnomer, but without insulin, you'd be dead. That's why a type 1 diabetic injects insulin. If insulin wasn't essential, diabetics would not have to inject insulin. So insulin is not good or bad. It's almost like your crazy ex-girlfriend, right? Like it can be good. It can be cooking you dinner and telling you how much she loves you. And the next thing you know, your tires are slashed. So insulin is not good or bad. It's all about how insulin works. So think of insulin as like the mailman who's delivering packages. So every time you eat, insulin is released. What we want is we want insulin to be stored into our muscles. That's good because then that has energy. Our muscles then use those to make enzymes and things like that. What can often happen, and there's a myriad of factors that can cause that, is that the insulin is delivering the packages to the fat cells, which is what we don't want. And eventually, if it's too much and it's always going to like the liver and things like that, it can cause fatty liver syndrome. So insulin, it's all about making insulin work the way you want to. So there's a couple ways you can increase muscle insulin sensitivity. #1, working out. Your muscles are like sponges, right? You work out, your muscles want that insulin. You have high insulin sensitivity. There's other things like stress. If you're super stressed, your body is going to go into fat storage mode because it thinks the famine's coming, right? So there's lots of things you can do, but what SLIN was made for is all about increasing muscle insulin sensitivity. So it makes your muscles want that insulin. There's a lot of scientific literature, berberine, chromium, alpha-lipoic acid. Every ingredient in SLIN is peer reviewed. If you go to slin.shop, there's like probably 30 scientific citations about every single ingredient. But what it does is it creates muscle insulin sensitivity. So your muscles then want that insulin. So when you eat, the food is shuttled into your muscles. Now, as a bodybuilder, that's great because we want food into our muscles. It's going to cause pump. It's going to get better workout performance, better muscle growth. But then it's also going to prevent muscle from the insulin from shuttling nutrients to fat, which is what we don't want. Because the biggest problem we have as a society is because our diet's crap. None of us are active. We're consuming, alcohol and other toxins. Yep. Muscles become resistant to insulin. And then the muscles basically say, hey, we don't want this stuff. We're good. We're resistant. And then it goes to the fat. And that's the biggest problem we have. And that's why people think, oh, I can't eat carbs. Every time I eat carbs, I get fat. No. Like the carbs aren't bad. The insulin's not bad. It's the fact that insulin isn't doing what you want it to.
Okay.
The mailman's confused. The mailman's delivering packages where you don't want it to. It's not delivering the packages to the muscles. So that's all about why SLIN was made. It was made for bodybuilders, of course, to try to, maximize pre and post workout carbohydrates, shuttle as much nutrients as we can into the muscles. But then type 2 diabetics started using it and they were getting amazing results. So now what's interesting is you have type 2 diabetics trying to get off medications using SLIN, and you have bodybuilders using SLIN. Because totally different goals, but it's the same thing. It's all trying to maximize insulin and get that muscle insulin sensitivity super high so that then the insulin is shuttling the nutrients into your muscle cells. And that's for all nutrients. It's not just for glucose. If you talk to a type 1 diabetic, they have to take insulin every time they eat. It doesn't matter if they're just eating protein and fat. It doesn't matter if they're just eating fat. They always have to take insulin. And it's a big misconception that carbohydrates are the only thing that raises insulin. Any food raises insulin. In fact, certain proteins raise insulin more than carbohydrates. Whey protein, for example, because it's digested so fast, has a higher insulin rating than white bread.
I didn't know that. That's great. Yeah.
And that's why whey protein is a really good pre and post workout protein, because it absorbs so fast. It spikes your insulin, but it's not good if you're eating it like before bed because it's in and out of your bloodstream. So human breast milk and then cow's milk, which is what whey protein is made for, it's 20% whey, 80% casein. And Mother Nature did that on purpose because then for the infant, there's this really quick protein source, then there's a sustained release protein source. So that's why when you go to cow's milk, it's actually more casein than whey because the whey spikes, which is good, right? You want a little bit of that so the infant has immediate nutrition, but then you want sustained release protein for the rest of the day because you don't want to just have that protein in and out of your body, right? You want protein throughout the day.
Yeah, sure.
Adjunct, but that's SLIN. SLIN is all about maximizing muscle insulin sensitivity so that when you eat, the carbs go to where you want it to go, to your muscles.
Great. So what do you recommend? When's the best time to take SLIN? I know there's different times you can take it and the doses. And I think you have another video on that, but what would you recommend for, let's say, a beginner, somebody that goes to the gym, decent shape, they want to utilize SLIN into their regimen. What do you suggest they do?
So the beauty of SLIN is the half-life is 24 hours. And there's a really, really good SLIN ebook where it kind of breaks down how to best utilize it. For someone who's brand new, never used SLIN before, and also it depends on the person. It depends on, are they overweight? Are they lean? Are they trying to gain muscle? But just using SLIN once or twice per day with your biggest carb meals is what I would suggest. Try to have one of those meals in your post-workout window. So maybe not necessarily right after the gym, because a lot of people don't have an appetite after the gym, but maybe like 2 hours after your workout, because your glycolytic enzymes are going to be increased. And then take SLIN with that. You can eat a lot of carbs. And what's really cool is that if you do your blood glucose monitor, your carbs will be, your sugar will be low because you just finished working out, right? If you eat carbs and SLIN, your glucose goes up and it goes right back down like within like 10 minutes. Like it's almost creepy because it shuttles all those carbs into your muscles. And then your muscles are full, which is good. You're no longer catabolic, but then you're back in that fat burning mode because your blood glucose is lower.
Excellent. That's awesome. Thanks so much, Trevor, for that that info on SLIN. So Seth, I know you use SLIN a lot in the past and currently. Tell us how you take SLIN and what it does for you.
So basically SLIN, my favorite time to take SLIN is basically before the workout, just like Trevor said. I like to get that feeling where my muscles are all nice and full and pumped. So I'll use this cheat kind of like code basically to fill up my muscles and get all that glycogen storage to make my muscles fuller and have a better workout. And you'll feel like you're nice and like kind of like full, like basically when competitors compete in like a competition, you're going into peak week, you have no glycogen in your muscles. So this is a good way to like restore those glycogen and pathways into the muscles, so you're getting all those carbohydrates and to fill up right away into your bloodstream quicker. So like you could do it during a cheat day, which is like a really good way to do it as well. I like to use them right before I have sugar and carbs. So I have a big meal and have the SLIN pills on hand. And then I'll feel like I could keep on eating and eating and eating. So those are the top 2 ways that I like to optimize the SLIN pills.
Thanks, Seth. And Johnny, what about you? How do you use SLIN pills?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the SLIN pills, and that's the supplement that I usually re-up on the most because I like to utilize my carbohydrates properly. What I like about SLIN pills is the diversity of it. You could take it pre-workout, post-workout, with carb meals, etc. Me personally, I take it with my carb meals. I'll take about 3 pills with each big carb meal that I eat. And what I notice is that I feel more full on it. My muscles feel more full, more pumped. I notice I get more vascularity from it, like the carbohydrates are being used properly. Another thing I like about all the enhanced products is that a lot of these ingredients I used to take on their own, like with the SLIN pills, the chromium, the cinnamon, the berberine, the alpha lipoic acid. I used to take these ingredients separate so I could utilize carbohydrates better. So I like how it has all the ingredients that I like on it, plus extra stuff like fenugreek, and just the mixture of the ingredients, allowing the carbohydrates to be utilized properly. I like it. And like Seth said, sometimes I'll do a post-workout with a big carb meal. Like if I want to have some post-workout sushi like Dr. Tony Hughes does, I might take some SLIN pills. Or if I'm taking certain supplements that might raise certain things in the body, the SLIN pills will help the carbohydrates be utilized better and make sure your blood sugar doesn't get too high. And I've also used it with my clients who are type 2 diabetic as well, and they seem to have better insulin levels on it. I even given it to my dad before, and should keep giving it to him. It's definitely very healthy.
Awesome, Johnny. Thanks. And I mean, I'm going to tell you right now that there's a lot of people out there, a lot of other companies that try to replicate this. No one is competing with SLIN. I started using SLIN This is probably one of the first products I ordered from Enhanced. I've been using it for years. And any of these guys will tell you, like when I was 325 pounds, I was using SLIN because I couldn't eat like Trevor was talking, my insulin sensitivity was all over the place. I couldn't I ate carbs, I got fat because my body was I was so obese. So I started using SLIN pills, and I would take 4 right before any carb meal. That's how I started. I was like, let's see if this works. Let's see if I start. And I was still eating low carb, but I really wanted to be able to utilize those carbohydrates better than I had ever done in my life. So I started taking the SLIN pills with every carb meal, and I was like, wow, I can actually digest carbs now. I wasn't feeling bloated. I wasn't feeling lethargic after I ate the carbs. I was feeling like I was utilizing the carbs to my benefit while I was working out. So it was really a game changer, and I strongly believe it was a big contributor for helping me lose as much weight as I lost and got me to where I am now. And now, I mean, I still use SLIN pills. I recommend them to anybody that works out. You're trying to build muscle, you're trying to lose weight. Now I take much less. Now I only take 2. Usually before, like if I have a bowl of oatmeal, I'm going to take 2 before I eat the oatmeal. If I have some grilled chicken and white rice, I'm only going to take 2. On the days that I do have cheat meals, let's say I go out with the family on Sunday and we know we're going out and I'm going to eat whatever, or it's a holiday. Like Trevor always says, don't forget your SLIN pills, because I'll take 4 before I go out to that restaurant and eat, because that way I know I'm utilizing the carbohydrates. They're helping the carbohydrates go right into muscle. And me personally, and I'm not just saying this because I work for Enhanced. Like, I keep a bottle of SLIN pills in my car. I keep one in my gym bag. I keep one at home. And then when we go on vacation, I always bring it with me. Or if we're going out with the kids for a day, I put one in my wife's bag for the kids just to have with me, because I'm a strong believer because they work. And
No, I also want to bring up, sorry to interrupt you,
go ahead.
that I've tried other versions of glucose disposal agents before, and the SLIN pills don't compare anything to any other product because I don't feel the same. That's how you know they work too. They just don't feel the same as you're taking the SLIN pills. Like, I've tried so many different products that people replicate. Like, I think that the SLIN pills were probably the first GDA supplement in the industry. And people started to kind of copy the product and make other ingredients and add different things that shouldn't be in it. So, I mean, I don't know what your opinion on is on that, but for me, the SLIN pills work for me, and that's what works for me. So, I mean, if you guys want to kind of upgrade your GDA supplement in your routine, I would definitely try out the SLIN pills.
Yeah, 100%. Because I've heard the same thing from other people too that have switched to SLIN, and they're just like, oh, this blows it away. It's a game changer. And if one of those people that eat carbohydrates and you feel like shit after you eat carbs, let's eat some pizza with the boys or whatever like that. Pop some SLIN pills, and you won't feel that. One of my best friends, he's a family guy, coaches sports. He's constantly on the run with work. He's a salesman, and he has to a lot of times just stop and grab whatever food he can. And he'll have pizza or pasta once a week, and he buys SLIN regularly now. And he takes every time. He's like, I can't believe how good these things work. I mean, he works out too. He goes to the gym 4 or 5 days a week, but he's incorporated SLIN into his regimen, and he noticed he loves it. He loves it.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that as well. With the SLIN pills, I do notice that when I have a heavy carbohydrate meal or a heavy cheat meal, like you said, Rob, I feel less bloated. And I love that because I'm very sensitive. If I eat a lot of carbohydrates, I feel bloated. I feel watery. I feel kind of out of breath almost. But when I have carb pills, the SLIN pills, I feel a lot better, more energetic after eating carbs.
Trevor, I got a question for you too. How would this help if you were almost pre-type 2 diabetes?
Well, again, I can't make medical claims, but theoretically that could prevent you from getting diabetic, right? Because diabetes is a disease of insulin resistance. So if your insulin resistance is bad and it's getting worse and worse and worse, eventually so this is how insulin resistance basically happens. This is how you become type 2 diabetic, is that your muscles are resistant to insulin. So every time you eat, your muscles say, we don't want this. So your body then stores it into fat, but has to keep releasing more and more insulin because the primary source doesn't want it. So basically, it's almost like the boy who cried wolf syndrome, is that you eat, your muscles don't want that insulin, so it gets stored to fat, but it's harder to store those nutrients as fat because that's not really what the body was designed for, right? It was designed to store it in the muscles. So your body releases more and more insulin to keep storing all this stuff as fat. And then generally, people who are type 2 diabetic don't eat great. So they're eating a lot of sugar and a lot of high insulin foods. So their body's constantly pumping out insulin. And basically, the pancreas basically says, I can't do this anymore. I give up. And it burns out and it stops producing insulin. And that's why you get put on insulin as a type 2 diabetic. Now, with lifestyle changes, sometimes the pancreas, the beta cells can repair and your pancreas can start producing insulin again. Sometimes it doesn't. It really just depends on age and how bad you abuse your pancreas. But that's basically what happens, is that diet is one, you're eating a lot of sugar, so your pancreas is constantly producing insulin, but then your muscle insulin resistance is high. So because those muscles don't want that insulin, your body's releasing more insulin so it can get stored as fat and go into the fat cells. So it's actually really, really interesting that your body actually wants to store those nutrients into your muscle cells, but because we're inactive and those muscle cells aren't active, there's not really good blood flow to them and it's not getting stored the way it should. Because the human body, if you think about it, we were designed to be walking around all day, moving every day, right? Like we're not just like, it's actually crazy when I do some of these intervention studies with people and I ask them to wear a pedometer and they do 900 steps in a day.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how, and then I asked them, I'm like, this can't be right. Like, did you like take your pedometer off or like, did you forget to wear it? They're like, no. I'm like, tell me your day. It's literally, they wake up, they go downstairs, they eat breakfast, they drive to work, they sit in their desk, they drive home, they eat dinner and they sit in front of the couch. Like literally their steps are like walking to the kitchen and walking to the bathroom. And like, and that's the problem with our modern society, is that no one's walking. Like the best thing you can do to improve your health is move. Just move. It doesn't have to be the gym if you're not a gym person. Yoga, swimming, whatever, like just move.
Yep.
So yeah, it's really interesting. And I'm in the faculty of preventative medicine. And a lot of the literature now and a lot of the research is going to giving people supplements, getting people to walk every day. And things like that have gotten a lot of type 2 diabetics off of their medications. Berberine has been clinically shown to be just as effective as metformin.
I asked you this question because I just had this literally like an hour ago, just had this conversation with somebody that I was with, and we were talking for a while, and the conversation, he's like, oh, I just got some lab work, and he's like, I'm pre-diabetic. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing? And he goes to the gym and stuff like that. He looks like he's in good shape. And he's like, I want to try to do something before, and I'm not giving medical advice here. None of us are, but just from experience through research and literature, I was like, why don't you try these every time you take carbs? And I gave him some, and he's going to order a bottle and see how he feels. So I'm curious to see what his outcome is on it too.
You know, I do want to add something. I think one of Johnny's clients actually told me one time we were talking, he had the SLIN pills on hand and he's a diabetic. And it basically saved his life because he didn't have his insulin pills on, or his SLIN or insulin on hand. Sorry, I'm rumbling my word. And he was feeling like kind of like low blood sugar and stuff, and he had the SLIN pills to help, and it actually saved his life basically. So he told me that story, and I just wanted to bring that up because you know, Johnny works with a lot of clients, and I thought that was really interesting because we're on that topic right now.
Yeah, he actually had a 1-year transformation that was incredible, and he was using SLIN pills the whole time when he was dropping all that weight. And that kid actually got pretty ripped. He was really overweight.
Wow, that's awesome.
I remember that story.
What's actually funny is our competitor, our critics end up being our best customers, because they're like, there's no way this product can work. There's no way you can claim, you know, medical effects of a dietary supplement. And I've had customer support messages saying like, hey, go buy a glucose monitor. Honestly, like send me the receipt. I will refund your credit card, the whatever it costs you to buy that glucose monitor. Yeah. They drink a Coke their glucose goes up to like 130, 140, whatever, right? They take SLIN, 10 minutes later, it's down to 100. And they're like, this can't happen. I'm like, do it again. And then do it again. And it's the same thing. And I'm like, and they all go, they go from like sending us these angry emails saying like, you guys are crooks, you guys are like bastardizing research. There's no way you guys can cite these studies. Like you guys are, I can't believe, you know, you with 2 university degrees is you know, using academia to sell products. You're a scumbag. And I'm like, try it. And they do it. And it's like, holy shit, this stuff actually does work.
That was the thing that really, I mean, you know, watching Tony for years on YouTube and stuff. And when he'd take his, you know, he'd prick his finger after the glucose, you know, after taking SLIN pills, and he'd see that you could see he was showing the drop. And I'm like, he's not full of shit here. Like he's really working, you know?
Yeah, and he looks like he eats a lot of carbs too. He's always posting his diet starts tomorrow.
We actually had a clinical trial for SLIN that was about to start at the University of Alberta. It was going to be a double-blind clinical trial with human participants. We had like medical doctors endorsing it and everything. Unfortunately, it got canned because of COVID. I need to revisit that. But basically, we got everything ready to go when we were about to submit our research ethics and things like that. And then COVID happened, and then obviously you can't recruit participants to the university. Canada is particularly peculiar about COVID precautions. So literally like the entire university shut down and no one was doing research. But yeah, like we had a bunch of professors who were like the formula enough to run a clinical trial on it.
Yeah. SLIN pills work. Proven. You can check them out. Anybody else have anything to share?
I would say is like just there's a couple of things you can do for your health that are really, really easy. Blood pressure, you don't even need to buy a blood pressure monitor. You can just go to a drugstore, check your blood pressure. And then number 2, your blood glucose. I think those 2 things are very, very important. And a blood glucose monitor costs literally like $50. They're dirt cheap. And you usually get the strips for free when you buy it. I would check your blood glucose. If you're waking up with high fasted blood glucose, that's scary. That's the sign that something is really, really wrong and your body is not properly absorbing your food. And then also just for like you gym guys who are just like interested in this stuff, try SLIN. Drink a bunch of carbs, take SLIN, test your blood glucose 10 minutes later. It'll drop significantly and it's super interesting.
So Trevor, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe when blood glucose should be between 60 and 100, right?
Yes. But ideally for an athlete, you'd probably want it to be about in the 80 to 90. The 60 is on the low range, then over 100 is not good. But yeah, for an athlete, 80 to 90 is about ideal. But yeah, it's 60 to 100 is the normal range. And it's also like the reason there's a big normal range is because the 100 would be like right after you eat. The 60 would be like right after a workout, right? They kind of give you these wide ranges. But under like normal circumstances, like right now, if we tested all of us just, you know, sitting here, it should be 80 to 90.
I think I'm actually going to do that. I think I'm going to buy one and do some videos on myself and see what it is.
I bought one when I was formulating SLIN, so I could guinea pig myself on all this stuff. What's the coolest thing is a continuous glucose monitor. So that's something you actually like hook up onto your hip and it tests your blood glucose 24 hours a day. Those are like 10 grand. So unless you've got like a buddy who's type 1 diabetic who can submit the insurance claim for you, you probably can't afford that. But dude, those are super, super cool.
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
It's literally on your phone. You literally just like look at your phone and it tells you like in real time what your glucose is.
Yep.
That would be awesome. Wow, I would love that.
Instead
of pricking your finger every few hours.
I'd be looking all the time. I think I'd just be like, it'd be too much for me.
Carbs, what is it?
I don't want to endorse this, but I mean, you could show to your doctor that you're type 1 diabetic by drinking a bunch of glucose before doing fasted blood glucose tests, and then getting a
yeah, that opens a can of worms though, right there.
But yeah, more and more, like what's actually really cool is more and more insurance companies are starting to cover this stuff because they're realizing how much you can prevent healthcare costs in the future by being cognizant of this stuff.
Yeah.
In my research, I'm in the division of preventative medicine and I focus mostly on older adults. And it's all about keeping older adults healthy, like putting benches in the stairwells. So after every flight of stairs, there's a bench. So, you know, someone who lives on the 5th floor, they might not be able to do five stairs, but maybe they could do 2. And then that way they do 2, they sit down for a minute, they do another 2, they sit down for a minute. Like all these little things cost money, but it saves money in the long run because you're preventing future healthcare costs. So these insurance companies aren't stupid. They know, hey, if I get you a blood glucose monitor, that could maybe save us thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in insulin in the future.
Yeah, 100%. We do those type of things too. And like in nursing school, we do quality improvement assessments where like it might cost some money up front, but if it's going to improve the quality of life and reduce the hospital costs, it's better in the long term. Yeah, you know, it's crazy. It's like, and you talk to a lot of people that are diabetic or pre-diabetic, and you'd be like, oh, well, what kind of carbs do you eat? And they're like, well, what's a carbohydrate?
Yeah.
You know what? It blows my mind. It's just like, dude, Google does wonders. Like, you know, but then again, like we should be learning these things also. Like
Well,
Trevor.
A lot of yeah. No, sorry about that.
a lot of us are eating candy, but it's organic candy. So, you know, it's
Yeah.
all organic.
They're like, it's okay. It's, you know, it's flavored now.
What's actually, okay, I gotta go after this. I gotta go teach. But what's really interesting is there's something called nutritionism, and it's using food claims to sell product. So now when you go to a grocery store, you'll look at a box of granola bars. It's just crap. It's high fructose corn syrup. It's soybean oil. Like it's just garbage. But it says vegan, or it says organic, or it says gluten-free. And then people insinuate those terms of health. You talk to a lot of people, you say, what is gluten? They can't answer it. They're like, I know it's bad. It's like, but what is it? They're like, I just know it's something I'm not supposed to eat. And I'm not saying gluten is great, because gluten is an inflammatory protein, but organic chips are still chips, right? Gluten-free potato chips are still gluten-free.
Yep.
That, like soda, which is probably the worst thing you can put in your body, because there's no nutritional value. It's just sugar. Like it's literally empty calories, doing nothing for you. Sugar is vegan. Sugar is gluten-free. Sugar could theoretically be organic. Like Coca-Cola can put vegan and gluten-free on their label.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's going to be the new type of branding that gets.
No,
That-
and like I've had a lot of people come up to me for a nutrition consultant, and their breakfast is literally like Lucky Charms and soy milk. And I'm like, that's the crappiest thing you could possibly eat. But they're like, vegan. I thought this was a good choice. And I'm like, again, that's a different tangent. But yeah, that's the problem, is like we're a society full of information but void of knowledge. And that's the problem, is there's too much information out there that people are just confused. And when I do walkthrough, like my background is a dietitian. I can't actually say that because I'm not licensed. I didn't pay my union fees. But when I would do, you know, tours in the grocery store, people are genuinely trying. Like I actually felt bad for people, because they really want to eat healthier, but they're confused.
Yeah,
They don't know.
They buy these organic granola bars thinking it's a good choice for their kids. When I break it down to them and I show them how to read the nutrition label, I'm like, look, the first ingredient is sugar. The second ingredient is soybean oil. I'm like, this is poison. But the label looks like, if you look at those bars, there's like a person like climbing a mountain on the box. It sounds super good. It has these claims, you know, 8 grams of protein per bar, gluten-free, non-GMO, and people are like, oh, this must be healthy, but it's just crap.
Yeah, and the reality of it is the major brands out there are not, most of them aren't trying to get you healthier. They're trying to get you to continue to buy the food. And that's why, like, you know, a whole nother topic, but sugar is the real epidemic in the United States and most of the world. You look at countries that didn't have sugar, and now sugar's been introduced to them, and you see all the, you know, injury, like, you know, illnesses rise through the roof because now sugar's been influenced into the countries where they didn't have it for years.
I got to teach, but what was really super interesting is when I went to Hong Kong, they're becoming a transnational society, right? They have McDonald's, they have KFC, and they have all those things. And the parents, because they never grew up on those things, never ate. right? But the kids, because they're part of social media, they want McDonald's and KFC. And it was the creepiest thing because you would have these two parents, which are super thin. I mean, they're Asian. They're just, thin. They look healthy, and their kid is morbidly obese. And it's like one of those games of like one thing is not like the other. And it was the weirdest thing, is like walking around Hong Kong and seeing these like healthy, fit parents with these like morbidly obese kids. And like that, again, that's correlation data. You can't actually publish that, but it just blew my mind. I'm like, this is a problem. This is a big problem. And that's what's scary, is like we're all just eating crap nowadays. We're not eating food, we're eating food-like products.
Yep, 100%.
Okay, I gotta take off, guys.
Thanks, Trevor.
For the opportunity, Robert,
Trevor.
for doing this stuff. If you guys have questions about any enhanced stuff, you can email me directly, trevor@getenhanced.shop, or you can either email support@getenhanced.shop. Either one of those will work. And yeah, we appreciate you guys, your time for watching these videos. And if you got comments or questions, put them in the comments. And I'll make sure to answer whichever ones I can.